What is up, fellas? We are back at it with another predictions video for UFC Fight Night Song versus Gutierrez. Let's get right into it. Opening the card at a catchweight, Daniel Marcos versus Carlos Vera. I'm gonna be going with I was about to say Carlos Vera. I'm gonna be going with Daniel Marcos in this one. I think Daniel Marcos is a pretty good, well-rounded fighter. He's got very good striking. His leg kicks stand out a lot. And at 36 years old, I don't think Carlos Vera is going to really be able to implement his game plan very much. He's predominantly a grappler, one TKO on his entire record. I just feel like I don't feel like he's going to be able to implement his takedowns quite like he wants to against Daniel Marcos, especially if he gets the leg kicks going early and often. I feel like he's going to cripple Carlos Vera pretty early with those, and I feel like he's going to be able to tee off on him on the feet. Uh, I think I'm going to go with Daniel Marcos here, maybe by like a late TKO. I think like round 2, round 3. Moving up to lightweight, Melquizael Costa versus Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is pretty good, but I think I'm going to go with Melquizael Costa in this fight. I think he's just more well-rounded. He's got more ways to win this fight. I think he's really quite good. He's a shoot-to-box guy. I think a lot of this fight's going to largely take place on the feet, where it would give Steve Garcia a pretty good chance. But I feel like if the situation presents itself, the guy who's going to be able to work their grappling, work their clinch work, maybe get a submission, would be Melquizael Costa. I think he's just got more ways to win. I think he's got a better, well-rounded skill set than Steve Garcia. His only loss in the UFC is taking Thiago Moises on short notice, so that's not exactly an easy fight. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Melquizael Costa. I think he's just a little bit better than Steve Garcia. I think he's probably going to win this fight by decision, probably like 29-28 decision over Steve Garcia. At women's strawweight, Rayanne Amanda versus Talita Alencar. These names, man, sometimes I swear I can't read. I'm going to go with Rayanne Amanda. Way more experience, much bigger fighter, way more reach. I think she's got a better skill set. I think she's got more ways to win. Similar to Melquizael Costa, she has a lot of submission wins. She has TKOs on her record. She's got competent enough striking, I think, to beat Talita Alencar. I gotta go with Rayanne Amanda in this fight. I just think the skill set's higher. Moving over to flyweight, Tatsuro Taira versus Carlos Hernandez. This is actually a pretty interesting fight to me because I think Carlos Hernandez is actually pretty good, and I think he's being undervalued at plus almost 400. I think Tatsuro Taira is a good fighter, and I think he can win this fight, and I think he probably will. But I feel like he's not going to cover a minus 550 line or anything like that. Like, I feel like this will be a pretty close fight. Carlos Hernandez has beaten guys like Dennis Bondar. He's beaten Victor Altamirano. I can't say fucking Victor Altamirano. God, I can't say the guy's name. But these guys are like UFC flyweights that you've probably seen fight before. Maybe not so much Bondar, but Bondar's pretty good. So this is going to be actually, I think, a pretty good test for Tatsuro Taira. I think he's going to be able to work his grappling like he always does, but I feel like Carlos Hernandez might present some problems, especially on the feet. He's a pretty good striker. His record wouldn't signify that, but he's actually not that bad. I'm going to go with Tatsuro Taira probably getting a submission win, but I think it would be a little bit sketchier than his betting line would suggest. At women's bantamweight, we have Luana Santos versus Stephanie Egger. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with Stephanie Egger in this fight. Luana Santos, her only UFC win is Juliana Miller. I don't care. Still don't care. I'll never care. Stephanie Egger, she's 35. Yeah. She's got 4 losses. Yeah. But they're all to really good women's MMA fighters. And she seems to have the ability to beat absolute bottom level trash women's MMA fighters pretty easily. And I just haven't seen enough from Luana Santos to really make me think that she's going to go out there and beat Stephanie Egger. Stephanie Egger's worst loss is to Irene Alekseeva, which isn't the greatest loss in the world, let's be honest. But I just I think she's better than Luana Santos. This will probably age horrifically, but I think she's got a more well-rounded skill set. She's got a lot of experience against a lot better fighters than Luana Santos. I'm gonna go with the old woman. I'm going with Stephanie Egger. I would trust Stephanie Egger to potentially weather that storm and win a decision here. That's what I'm gonna go with. Stephanie Egger decision. Moving to flyweight, Hyung Sung Park versus Shannon Ross. I'm going to be going with Hyung Sung Park. I think he's pretty good. He had a really fun fight not that long ago, picking up a third round submission. Shannon Ross, I just don't think is really the greatest. But I'm going to trust in Hyung Sung Park here. I think he's going to probably take the path of least resistance. I feel like he'll probably be able to take Shannon Ross down and submit him relatively easily. Closing out the prelims at welterweight, Song Kanan versus Kevin Jousset. Now, this is a fight I've kind of not too sure on. Kevin Jousset seems to be really good. He's a huge guy for welterweight, long reach, big height, effective skill set all around. But man, Song Kanan's he kind of impressed me with his Rolando Bedoya win. I thought Bedoya was just going to be too much for Song Kanan, especially coming off of all that damage in his Ian Gary fight. But he looked better than he ever has, and he smoked Rolando Bedoya. So part of me honestly wants to take Song Kanan, man, but I don't know. I feel like he can catch him with a check hook, kind of similar to the way he caught Ian Gary in their fight that dropped him. But I'm gonna trust his Song Kanan, hopefully having the wherewithal to finish a fight if he does land a check hook on Kevin Jousset. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Song Kanan by TKO. We'll see about that one. Opening up the main card at middleweight, Jung Young Park versus Andre Muniz. This is a good fight. I'm going to go with Jung Young Park right now just because he's got all the momentum on this side. He's streaking. He's looking really good, really well-rounded fighter. Just smoked Albert Duraev in his last fight. Andre Muniz, on the other hand, getting some pretty bad results, getting TKO'd by Paul Craig in his last fight. And I've seen people talking like, oh, I've seen people saying that Andre Muniz is going to win this fight because he could easily submit Jung Young Park. But I offer you the fact that I don't think Andre Muniz can take down Jung Young Park at all. I really don't think he can do it. I think the only way this fight hits the mat is if Jung Young Park shoots a takedown on Andre Muniz. But I don't see a reason why he would. You know what I mean? Like, why would he shoot a takedown on Andre Muniz? Because I think Jung Young Park is far and away a better striker on the feet than Andre Muniz. I think he's a better wrestler than Andre Muniz. Is he susceptible to potentially getting submitted by Andre Muniz? Yes, anybody is. But I don't see Andre being able to get him to where he wants him. Like onto his back or anything like that. I don't see it right now. Jung Young Park has looked really good and really intelligent too. Like, he hasn't really made a lot of mistakes in there since, thirsting a finish on the feet against Gregory Rodriguez and just getting into a pure firefight with him in the pocket. That's the only mistake that I've really seen Jung Young Park make in the UFC. And besides that, he's just been perfect. He's looked great. So I think I'm going to go with Jung Young Park here. I think he's just going to be too much on the feet for Andre Muniz. And I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns of Andre Muniz because, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not a wrestler. They're not exactly great at getting takedowns. You know what I mean? I'm going to go with Jung Young Park. I think he's going to TKO Andre Muniz like late round 2. Moving to lightweight, Nasrat Haqparast versus Jamie Mullarkey. I'm going to go with Nasrat Haqparast over Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey's last couple of fights haven't exactly impressed me. He looked pretty bad against John McDessie. And Nasrat Haqparast had an absolute banger of a fight in his last fight. I think Nasrat's just a better striker. And man, this fight's just going to be a striking match. You know it, I know it. These guys are going to go out there and they're going to box. And I'm going to trust Nasrat Haqparast to finish Jamie Mullarkey in like the second round. I think his boxing's just cleaner. I think he's more durable than Jamie Mullarkey. Yeah, open and shut for me. I like Jamie Mullarkey, but at this point, I haven't seen enough in his career lately to make me think that he's going to beat Nasrat Haqparast at all. I think Nasrat's just operating at a higher striking level, in my opinion. At light heavyweight, Anthony Smith, Khalil Roundtree Jr. I'm going to go with Khalil Roundtree, but I'm going to say this now. Khalil Roundtree has a habit of choking hard in fights that actually matter. This fight matters. And a thing about Anthony Smith is he has been really good at turning back like prospects or like borderline top 15 fighters. So I feel like this could end up being a nightmare, just based on that voodoo that both of these guys seem to possess. But I am going to go with Khalil Roundtree because I'm going to use my brain to make this pick. Anthony Smith is just looking miserable in his last couple of fights. He got one over Ryan Spann, which I'm not entirely sure he should have gotten. I don't remember that fight too well. I haven't rewatched it. But I remember Anthony Smith just looking slow and just labored in that fight. And he's taking this one against Khalil Roundtree Jr. on short notice. And Khalil Roundtree has actually looked like he's found a bit of a stride in his career. He beat, decent fighters like Dustin Jacoby, even though he should have lost that decision. Taking him to a decision, though, is still pretty impressive because Dustin Jacoby's a big light heavyweight, similar to Anthony Smith. Really good kickboxing. He's a tough guy. And technically, Khalil Roundtree beat him. I'm going to trust Khalil Roundtree. I think he's got a distinct power advantage. I think he's honestly the sharper striker. Now, if Anthony Smith goes out there and shoots a takedown on Khalil Roundtree and submits him, I mean, so be it. Like, what can you do? MMA gods frowned upon us. And closing out the card at bantamweight, the main event, Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez. I gotta go Song Yadong here, fellas. Chris Gutierrez is very good, but on short notice, I feel like this is a tough matchup for him. Song Yadong is an athletic freak. He's got insane takedown defense. He's got great chokes. He's got a good guillotine because he trains at Team Alpha Male. I had an alarm go off. I don't know if you heard that. My bad. And Song Yadong's got disgusting boxing. He's got real good power in his hands. And Chris Gutierrez, although I think he is good, I think he's high level. His best weapon is his leg kicks. And I feel like Song Yadong is the kind of fighter who is going to crowd the kicker and get right up in Chris Gutierrez's face and get him in that dirty, like, inside boxing fight. And I think Chris Gutierrez suffers in that pretty badly. I don't think he wants to be inside the pocket at all with Song Yadong, but I feel like Song Yadong is going to force it because he's super durable and he's very athletic with a high skill set, a high skill ceiling. I just think Song Yadong is going to win this fight. I think he's just better everywhere. Although Chris Gutierrez is good and the line's a bit disrespectful, I think Song Yadong is going to TKO Chris Gutierrez in like round 3. Unless by some miracle Chris Gutierrez gets his leg kicks going and they actually really affect Song Yadong. But I've seen nothing to show me that the Song Yadong's not going to do exactly what I think he's going to do and walk down Chris Gutierrez, get inside to where, Chris Gutierrez can't operate at kicking range and just bully him in the pocket. That's how I see this fight going. So yeah, I'm going with Song Yadong, TKO, round 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop a like. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody who subscribed and liked my last video. Even though the picks weren't too great. I'll catch you guys next week.